Welcome back, Hardforkers, to our weekly crypto update show with Jesse and Leanne. Great to see you both.
Hi, everybody.
How's it going?
We've got a hell of a lot to unpack today, people. If you haven't heard about it, Elon Musk has been tweeting again and moving the market around. So we're going to be talking about that in just a moment, along with a look at the Bitcoin, Ethereum charts, and also today we'll look at Aave and Link. So what a day, people.
What a day. I woke up to the shitstorm on Twitter.
Yeah, look, here's a look at that tweet if you're not familiar with what is going on. Mr. Musk saying that they no longer will be accepting Bitcoin payments. It tears their concerns around pollution aspects of Bitcoin mining. Elon, do your own research.
It seems a little bit fishy, doesn't it? This technical savvy genius just happens to be becoming aware of the environmental issues after doing everything he's done. I don't think we should get too worked up by this. It's like getting worked up when you see the Royal Town trickster pulling out the fucking juggling balls and the whoop whoop whoop. It's like this guy is clearly like an entertainer at this point.
Jesse, I agree. I've for the last couple of weeks, I've sort of been voicing my thoughts on that. I just think it's getting out of hand. There's only so many times that people are going to take the guy seriously with these tweets pumping Doge, BTC. Look, it's not your plaything, fella. And I think hopefully people will start to realize this, not take Doge so seriously based on his tweets. That will have upset a lot of people today, I think, with what he's come out with there. And for me, that's a good thing. I don't think one person should be able to move a market around like this, but unfortunately, clearly he can. How long that will last is up to everybody watching this and investing in this space. Me personally, I'm not listening to this dude anymore.
Isn't it obvious, though, that if indeed his comments, whether they be positive or negative, if they sway the market this much, that just says that there's an upside and a downside to getting more and more people in here. The more people we get in the system, the more kind of riffraff, the more uneducated, emotional people you'll get in the system. So it's like we got to take the bad with the good, I guess.
My feathers are a bit ruffled, so I've worn my ruffly top this morning, Elon.
Stick it to him, Leanne.
Yeah. I love his brains, but then I look at this. A tweet from him that would have been fantastic would be something like, we're looking into the energy consumption and we'd like to make solutions for it so that Bitcoin can be, more environmentally friendly. But instead of that, he's just completely dissed it, yet he owns a technology company that can help solve those problems. So it's a very curious tweet and I don't like it. And Sean, I don't like this. I don't like screaming manipulation, but he's clearly messing around with Doge and Bitcoin, and it's not cool.
There's no way that he's unaware of the way that any political party front runner for presidential elect or any of these, the way they do it is they'll say, I promise by 2022 the Bitcoin energy crisis will be solved. We will continue in this direction until that time, but I promise we will figure this out. Thank you.
Very good. So what is Elon up to here? Is there an ulterior motive? Is he about to announce, obviously we've got New York looking at banning Bitcoin mining for up to 3 years while they assess the environmental impact. Here's some charts now, a look at Bitcoin energy consumption breakdown regionally. You can see that obviously it's mainly coal mining coming out of Asia Pacific. That's primarily China, up around the 60% mark. But the reality also is that about 75% of Bitcoin mining is from renewable energy. And look, going back to my Bitcoin meetups back in 2016, this was a really hot topic of conversation back then about Bitcoin energy consumption. Was it bad for the environment? So I'm pretty well versed. I've had a million opinions on this. I've looked at a million stats on it. I'm convinced it's not an issue. Okay, yes, it does have the same carbon footprint as my country, New Zealand or Norway. But look, I think there's also the opportunity, and maybe this is Musk's thinking here, that there will effectively be a bit of a race to harness cleaner fuel in Bitcoin mining. So we may also end up with a scenario with different taxes on different miners depending on energy source, etc. I think there's much more to this. But I think we're all in agreement here that, one guy's sort of tweeting out when he feels like it, stuff like this that is affecting people's investments seems to be on a win for him. Although when I say it's on a whim, it's very calculated, in my opinion.
Yes.
So, all into Dogecoin quite clearly, people, right?
Or cancel your Tesla orders and buy more Bitcoin. Hold on to
Or
your
did you
Bitcoin.
see him? Did you see him throwing the? Here's a little clip of that actually. But did you see him throwing
the
the Ethereum
Ethereum
sign on Saturday Night Live?
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm thinking about the Illuminati or something.
Yeah. Well, could be. Or other things. Oh.
That's why you all tune in, people.
You're
Want to
welcome.
see Jesse's
Within
wonderful.
our concept.
Yes, well, look, I think there's more to unpack on this one, but maybe we should jump into the BTC chart, and obviously let's have a look at what this tweet has clearly done to the market.
So here is the Bitcoin USD chart. Some of my notes, I think I mentioned last week, it could visit the 50K zone to the bottom of my channel, which it's actually broken the channel now. So that's a bit of a disaster. So it's Chop City, it's a no trade zone, and I have the same thesis still. We could revisit the 40K zones. So it's really price discovery to the downside. And I've actually crossed out my Dear Bitcoin chart because it mentioned Elon's name. So I'll come up with a new song the next time. Bow, that one just doesn't work anymore. So we're in price discovery to the downside, which will bring me to my next chart. I'll bring that up now. This chart is the Bitcoin chart with my dear friend Joe Saz using his signals, and it's their order book signals. And just to give you an idea of what's been happening, we've got some color bands up the top here, which shows the sell pressure from the bears. And we had big support down at that 45K region, and we've just revisited here. I'm on the 2-hour chart actually for this. And what I want to see, whilst we had a lot of volume come in, I haven't seen any buy signals yet down the bottom. So Joe refers to them as gold mine signals. So that's what I'm waiting for to show where we get some support. On the lower time frame, we had quite a bit of support. You can see come in. So you can see all that sell pressure on the low time frame. And we've had support down here at the wherever it reached to. I can't quite see that on my chart. Down to 46.
About 46,500, I think, roughly.
We swept some lows there, and you can see printing right now as we speak. That yellow gold mine signal is actually getting a little bit thicker, which is good. So we might get a bit of a bounce from here, but the low time frame signals are great to show that support is coming in, but ultimately I want to see them on the larger time frames, and I haven't seen, actually the 4-hour one's got the signal here, you can see. So I guess I'm showing you this to give you a bit of confidence that there are orders down there. People, the whales are buying them. So buying in this zone, and that doesn't mean it can't drop lower, but there is support in the order books here, which is really good to know. So I thought you might enjoy looking at that chart. Speaking of Tesla, let's have a look at the stock. And I don't really keep an eye on Tesla stock, but a dear friend of mine pointed it out to me this morning. So I just pulled up the chart and had a look, and it is on a downtrend. You can see it reached a high of, $900, and it's retraced around 43%, and, it could get as low as 500. It would be interesting to see if it holds support there. So, with all of this Bitcoin FUD and Tesla tanking, I'm really curious to see how this plays out. I don't know your thoughts on that.
We're in a situation right now where inflation is clearly on the march, whether it's, copper, lumber, corn, materials, anything. You can look at any of these charts and they are moving up fast. So we're in the situation now where we've got policymakers saying that this is transitory inflation, but the reality is, rates are going to have to stay negative here for them to get in control of corporate and government debt. And basically what that means is that we've got a scenario where people's pension funds, their retirement portfolios are just going to get hammered here. So people are, I think we're just seeing a massive exodus that is a kind of already underway, but I think is going to gain huge momentum into store of value assets. So, look, the macro for Bitcoin for me is just super bullish, and I'll talk about some fundamentals on when you do the Aave chart shortly. But yeah, look, I mean, for me, this is a great buy the dip opportunity here.
Yeah, well, we might look at Willie's data to support what you're talking about, the macro picture. So if you don't subscribe to Willie's newsletter, here's a little snapshot of the type of things Willie talks about. This is Willie Woo's Bitcoin NVT premium chart. And like I said, I'm certainly not an expert in understanding the data, but he is.
The NVT premium measures how far the price is above the organic valuation of the network using investor volumes. So in this chart, he's got the Z-scored results. This is the statistical method which normalizes results across a long time span that allows us to compare the premium values from the prior to the prior market cycles.
So on this chart, you can see he's highlighted the green zones. I can see what he's pinpointed here, and it does give me confidence about the macro cycle, which is important to look at when we're experiencing downturns with Bitcoin like this.
Big picture, people, zoom out. I'll quickly just bring up the stock to flow model here as well. As you can see, it's tracked it very consistently, people, and that does show us that we are heading for 100K. That's still my thoughts. This is actually a guy called Plan B, who's a investment banker that's come up with this model. Link below to that if you want to learn more. But yeah, that's been extremely accurate.
That's why I tell people who freak out in the morning like this, just think of it, it's like one soldier dying in a war. It's not the war ending.
You're freaking out if you're in multiple coins here with little tiny minuscule stop losses on them. This will be the third time in a matter of, a week, 10 days that you've woken up, your stops are hit. Oh, God, am I going to rebuy this thing? Oh, shit, it's now worth more than when I got stopped. If that's your style of investing, good luck to you. It's not mine.
Yeah, I think you spoke about stop losses with Baloo again the other day, and I've mentioned it in charts when we have reaccumulation zones. Stop losses don't really work because really, in theory, you should be buying at the bottom of the support range as well to average in on a trade. So it's a really, yes. And in a dump like this, yes, lots of people, if they were in longer term swings, would have got their stops hit. If you're trading leverage and really short time frame stuff, yes, you have a stop loss. But longer term thesis, it's a different style of trading.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on that note, I mean, as I've said before, I trade 10% of my portfolio on Bybit. I trade Bitcoin and Ethereum. And, I'm often trading 1 minute candles. I mean, they're scalps. I've been doing that for the last 2 weeks because it's scalp heaven at the moment. Bitcoin's been operating in a range, but obviously, when you get these events, and you could argue that this, no matter what amount of technical analysis you've done on this, you don't know if Elon Musk is going to wade in with a tweet and freak the market like that. So yeah, stop loss it comes in very handy in this sort of scenario.
Yeah. A lot of people are holding, when we do have a market drawdown, a lot of people are holding the shittiest of shit coins with no liquidity and freak out that, it retraces or drops the wick down to 50, 60%. So if you're holding those type of things, again, you need to know what your investments, is it an investment where you don't look at it for 2 years, or are you actually trading it? And that will, require different strategies. But yeah, it's the low liquidity. The mid caps hold up really well in this situation. I had a good look at them this morning, and I'm not worried about my mid cap stuff. It's holding its range still. So yeah, this is a time when you need to look at what you've got and what your strategy is.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's always quite interesting when you get a decent correction to see what does kind of hold up. And I've noticed projects like Polygon or the Matic token, which I'm a big fan of. It's always managed to hold up pretty well when there's been these big corrections. So I'll talk about that a bit more. But the other interesting thing in Mr. Musk's tweet was that obviously he says we're looking at other cryptocurrencies that don't have an impact on the environment. Now, whether or not he's referring to, well, I guess he's referring to Doge, but he may well be talking about Ethereum as well, which, if you don't know, with the move from proof of work to proof of stake, that then removes the pollution aspect, if you will, from Ethereum mining. So on that note, Leanne, should we have a look at Ethereum?
Here's the Ethereum chart. And last night, I actually wrote some notes that I would like to see a retrace to the middle of the channel in the 3.5 to 3,700 zone would be nice. And I woke up this morning and it had done exactly that. So it actually went down to 3.5. So exactly. So I like seeing that. I like seeing it cool off a little bit. It was very overheated. So if you caught, some buys down here, brilliant. It's not to say it might not retrace back to 3,000 depending on what Bitcoin does, but for now it retraced quite nicely, and the next zone to look at for me would be around the 4.6 zone. So Ethereum, and on the Bitcoin chart, it's ripping faces off as well. So it's looking really good. But yeah, just to be I'm not sure I would be entering any trades up here. If you're holding it, brilliant. You can work out when you'd like to take some profit, if any, but I wouldn't really be entering trades here if you don't hold Ethereum.
Yeah, it's a tricky one at the moment, isn't it? It's jumping around. So if you need the rent money, you want to be careful trading at the moment. But interestingly, we've seen ETH nudge up to 50% of Bitcoin's market cap in the last few days, or just shy of it. $8,000 to $9,000 strike price derivatives are being bought up at the moment, with June 25th expiry. So there's a lot of confidence there. I've been scratching my head about the upcoming hard fork in July on Ethereum and how that would affect the price. I think there's going to be a lot of FUD flying around, but, talk of contentious hard forks, etc. Actually, my gut, I'm leaning much more towards a very bullish run up to that event, and I'm trading and investing based on that. I'm bullish leading into that.
And unless Elon spoils the party.
I mean, it could go the opposite direction. We've seen him boost the market just as many times as he's tanked it with his words. But like you said, when you just said zoom out, none of his positive or negative posts have affected the trajectory, if you will. I mean, that's kind of what to repeat the sentiment of what we've said a few times here. Long term, and it doesn't really matter, does it? Unless you're trading on the daily and it's screwing up your whole process. Yes, that's freaking annoying.
Shall we bring up the Aave chart next?
Let's do that.
This is the Aave chart. Now, I actually took a anticipated breakout trade on Aave. I'd been watching it, and I liked that, I've talked a lot about holding the support, and this one tapped it 3 times. The reaccumulation range was pretty clear to me. It was the trading range, and I took a trade anticipatory at around the 500 mark. It poked its head out and then it did have a big wick down, but I've highlighted here that we did test supply and it was brought up pretty rapidly in that Bitcoin dump. So there's a big, nice volume wick there. And we're in the Ichimoku cloud. We're in the green zone. So I see a lot of upside potential for Aave. And I know, Sean, you're more of the expert on the fundamentals of this, but I literally took a technical analysis trade. And before we talk about it, I'll just also show you the BTC pairing also. Okay, this is the Aave BTC pairing chart. And I actually took this trade also against just to accumulate some more BTC. So again, you need to be a little bit careful. My signals on my indicator show really good entries back here, and there was one down here that I actually missed. I wanted to watch it and see what Bitcoin did. So that's been tracking really nicely. On the dump, I actually bought some more too, so added to that trade. And my target would be up around 0.017 zone on that one. And again, for me, it's not such a long-term one. I'll be in and out of a Bitcoin pair trade. And I do actually have a stop loss on this one because I don't want to lose any Bitcoin, and it's a short-term trade for me. So my stop loss is down at my entry zone. So you can see it's quite already moved quite a distance from there. So I'm comfortable in that one. So yeah, that was really interesting that the Bitcoin pairs are moving, obviously because Bitcoin dominance is quite low. There are opportunities to increase your Bitcoin stack if you know what you're doing in these trades. Otherwise, stick to the USD pairs. I know if you're a new trader, it can be a little bit confusing with the Bitcoin pairs. So for experienced traders only.
From a yield point of view, things that I really like about Aave is, looking at, if you're going onto the layer 2 on Aave on Polygon, the returns there are pretty significant compared to a lot of other platforms. And maybe you're right, that's for the people who've managed to figure out how to move funds from layer 1 to layer 2, and that does take at least 5 hours of your time to watch one of our instructional videos, which are below. To figure that out, and some of the rates there are over 20%, and you can actually get yield on 2 tokens on layer 2 with Aave on Polygon. What is actually made up of the $17 billion that Aave has in total liquidity at the moment. There's a chart on that. And really of big interest here, obviously we've got just over 28% of that is Ethereum, just under 9% is Link. But really interesting, we've got wrapped Bitcoin. It makes up 13.3% of the total liquidity on that protocol. So really where I'm going with this is, for me, as a long-term play on something like Aave, I really, really like it. I think it's obviously a great trade right now. We are seeing this flight of capital from traditional stores of value, stocks, bonds primarily, fiat currencies coming across into different forms of stores of value, Bitcoin being one of them. Then if you can take that Bitcoin and stick it into a protocol like Aave and make a nice yield, that's the end game for me in this crypto space. It's to make enough money trading, move it into Bitcoin and Ethereum, use a platform like Aave to then get a yield. So you get the price appreciation, hopefully in the underlying asset, being Bitcoin or Ethereum, and then obviously the yield or the interest that you can gain on a platform like Aave. So yes, Leanne, great to see the chart looking good, because it's absolutely a project that I rate very, very highly.
Sean, do you see any dangers with yield farming?
You obviously have the danger if the smart contract is hacked. That boils down to the skill level of the coders involved in the project. So yes, there are threats around that. Obviously, if it's a low liquidity situation, you can get rug pulls, etc. But if you want to be on the safe side, and for me, that's I'll be going as safe as it can possibly be, and Aave would be right at the top of my list when doing that. So look, Leanne, there's risks with everything. You could say there's a risk that none of us will get a pension the way things are looking at the moment. Hence that flight of capital into different stores of value.
Pension, what is that word? I mean, okay. Chart request for the Link Marines. I have in the Navy song, can sail the seven seas. But we want some recruits to pump our bags to $80, please. So, Link up at its obviously all-time highs. Price discovery, it was chugging along quite nicely, and I think with DeFi might get another surge soon. So I would be looking at the 60 zone, and then upwards of $80 for its next areas, provided all things go well and we keep heading up. I know Link has a massive following. I got in quite late. I got in around the $15 zone, so I'm still holding that. And yes, if you were doing breakout trades, you would look for the resistance and breaks of those areas, and you could set some alarms.
Yeah, Jesse and I interviewed some people from Link in Korea when it was under $1. Did we buy it? Well, I did.
Yeah, I remember that vividly. I mean, it's like, good God. I mean, there was interesting though, because there was a lot of booths over there, and you made a beeline for Chainlink, and you did a full interview, and the guy was talking about it, and it was really the only, I think, legit interview at that day that we did, and nothing again until it became the stanky Link that we know.
Yeah, so it has been a little painful. The reason I'm bringing that up is I had to rebuy the damn thing the other day at I don't know, about for $40, I think, Leanne. So I'm pleased it might go to 80.
I feel good vibes for it. So
I've had my fun with the shit coins, or I'm still going to dabble in a few, but I'm really moving now into the links. Aave, I'd put in that same category. I think it's a great project for this next phase.
I hold probably the same opinion that you guys do about these extremely non-fundamental based coins that are popping up left and right. But just know that a good friend of mine, let's just say, has done well with flipping these things recently. Before, just the other day, I saw a bunch of influencers on YouTube pop up saying, new amazing opportunity. You could be a millionaire, Shiba Inu. I knew about Shiba Inu a week before these amazing crystal ball holding influencers knew anything about it. Keep in mind, there's a lot of these out there, and get in if you're going to do these flipping of these things. Get in before some YouTube guy tells you. If he's telling you, you're too late.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're out there. Use that old Etherscan holder of Shibu. Find who is holding a lot. See what else they're holding. Find the one that no one's talking about. Not financial advice. I'm just saying that's what my friend did.
Okay, Jesse, I think that's your next segment on this show.
Well, like for instance, if you go on CoinGecko and look up FEG, FEG, yet another weird-looking coin.
Hey, Jesse, can you be that YouTube
recently.
influencer guy and give us a shit coin?
Yeah.
Yeah, FEG.
FEG?
By the time you see this, you won't make money from it. but I'm just saying, just because these coins are essentially almost useless, aside from a few various possibilities that are available on all of these tokens, like swapping or whatever, doesn't mean that there's no worth in them in the short term.
Yeah, and you have to know what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, you do, but at the same time, it's like flipping those right now. Or you're better off doing that than doing something that makes sense.
Yes. True.
All I'm saying is keep it in the back of your head if you're out there interested in it. We're living in a clown world, so sometimes clown moves are the only way. That's also not financial advice.
It's the phase of the market, which is.
I'm an entertainer.
Yes. I have some last thoughts on BTC after what's transpired today with Elon. I think I'm leaning intuitively towards Bitcoin is going to rip some faces off in the next few months and stick it to everybody.
I agree. Well, as I said before, for me, we're getting to that point where who wants to make the same mistake as 217 and make a lot of money and walk away with bugger all at the end of it? I certainly don't. So, I'm starting to. I don't think we're near a top. I think we'll still at least double from here. But at the same time, I'm really starting to minimize my risk. And for me, minimizing risk is moving into ETH, moving into BTC, and then looking for that yield. So, platforms like Aave, other possibilities to take those assets and stake them, get an interest off them long term. That's the ultimate goal here. Make enough trading, stick it into those things, and get that passive income for years to come. The macro financial environment, as I alluded to earlier, we're seeing inflation. We're seeing a flight out of traditional markets, bonds, fiat currencies. So, man, I just think the space is just getting warmed up. That's not to say we're not going to have a big correction in a cycle that we're currently in. But when you zoom out on this space, I couldn't be more bullish.
Yeah, and remember, people, the safest bet when it comes to investing in crypto is still light years more beneficial long term than the institutional ways we got going at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I made a comment this week to somebody about a safe bet, and you were asking about risk earlier, Leanne. Going into a stable coin and putting that on a platform like Aave, and some of these platforms, you're getting 10% on a stable coin. And the argument that was thrown back at me as well, yeah, but fiat's been devalued at 15% a year. And okay, that may well be true, but it's the lesser of two evils for me. Do you go and stick it in a bank at 1% or possibly even negative interest rates, which some European countries are? Yeah. I know the Dutch having to pay to put their money in the bank now.
I think
so stablecoin in the crypto space, you're staying in crypto, but you're in a pegged dollar that is in many scenarios accepted, backed by a US dollar, and you're getting 10%. So why exit crypto? I'm definitely not going to be doing that, but I will have a percentage of my crypto holdings in a stable coin earning whatever it'll be. I don't think those rates will stay at 10% when the shit hits the fan, but they're still going to be better than a bank. That's my 2 cents worth of fiat for you there, people.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Okay, so I think that's enough for today. I think we've covered quite a bit. We've hated on Elon. We've told you a couple of projects that we like from a technical analysis point of view and a fundamental analysis point of view. In fact, everything we looked at today, I think, falls in that category. So thank you very much, Leanne, for the charts.
Welcome.
Thank you, Jesse, for the commentary. Thank you, people, for watching. We'll see you back here tomorrow for our live show. We'll see you back here with these two next week for Crypto Update.